hello. My name is Jasmine Lee, and I am not your mama's astrologer. Welcome to the week. It feels a little familiar this week, a little bit like a rinse, recycle, repeat kind of vibe because Mars has been in retrograde in Cancer for quite a long jaunt, and we're actually having one of the biggest astrological happenings of the month, which is that Mars finally goes direct. And we love this. Direct is good. We like the forward movement. We like getting unstuck. We like not being a Treyu's horse that drowns in the mud, but rather makes its grand comeback, hopefully better than what we were before. And that's the truth. The problem is that Mars is and has been frustrated. Mars has been moving incredibly slow. And so these changes have been frustrating, slow moving, upward climbing, and in Cancer, not comfortable for Mars. So we've really had to do a lot of soul work on our boundaries, on our protective mechanisms, on being overly protective, on being overly emotional. This period of time has brought a lot of powerlessness. It's brought a lot of insecurity. It's brought a lot of emotionality. And while that's very uncomfortable for Mars, I feel that this starting the year in this state is really a way to game change how you want to move forward. And the good news is that Mars is stationing direct at the end of this week. So we still have one more week of these retrograde vibes to really re-examine why we're stuck, where we've been stuck, and what has been ultimately very frustrating for us. It's a good examination. I've been asking you to examine it a lot, which is why I feel like this rinse, recycle, repeat that we're in this week could be taken in a really positive way. We could be sick of the same old shit. There could be more political garbage. There could be more work garbage, friend garbage, family garbage, wherever all of this has been landing in your chart that has been keeping you stuck in this disgusting muck of things that you cannot change or control. Well, it's going to feel more reflective this week because it is the last week of it. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that Mars going direct is going to change it all, because Mars is still moving so slow. It's going to end at 17 degrees of Cancer, and it's going to stay there for a couple weeks. In fact, it is going to stay in Cancer until mid-April. So while the direct energy is much appreciated, thank you very much, glad to be moving forward and not backward, it is still working and digging into those themes. Mars is our get up and go energy. Mars is our starter fuel. Mars is what we've got left in the gas tank. And when we're kind of running on empty, ain't no direct motion gonna change that feeling of gassed out. So where are you feeling gassed out? Here's your homework this week. Instead of trying to move it, change it, I want you to just rest with it. I would really love this week to be a rest, to be a time where you're like, okay, I worked within these confines. I'm still seeing these confines, and I'm going to rest with it. I'm not going to try to change it. I'm not going to try to move it. I'm going to try to take this last week of the retrograde and allow my energy bar to run completely out. Because when we start from a new gas tank, a new perspective, a fresh sheet of paper, insights will come. Boundaries will come. All of the things that we're needing to really move forward with this energy is going to come. It just takes time. It's a real tortoise and hare conundrum of slow and steady does win the race, but it also takes longer, and it also can feel more frustrating than those of us maybe who are very forward motioned people. If you're someone who has a lot of excess energy, you've maybe felt as though you've been spinning your wheels a little bit during this retrograde, and rightfully so. And we're not done. We're not done with what the universe has to collectively teach us. We still have so much more to go. But when it's direct, well, it's the same thing as, communicating passively aggressively versus directly. There is passive communication where work can get done under the surface, but so much easier when we can be direct. So I want you to take this sassy little Mars bitch passive aggressive energy where she's saying yes, no, maybe so. And I want you to put a bookmark in it and say, I was leaning more towards yes, but maybe now I'm more like no in my life where these things have felt not quite so stable. The other big stuff that's going on this week is a lot, we've got a lot of Pisces moving on in because the sun is going into Pisces. Yes, it is, on Tuesday. So we're moving out of Aquarius and into Pisces, which is water. Mars is retrograde in Cancer, about to go direct, which is water. Mercury moved into Pisces over this weekend, which is water. And we're about to go into eclipse season, which doesn't start until March, but we're gearing up for it now, which is in Pisces, water. So imagine just being completely waterlogged. Our boots are damp as all get out. We're still gonna have to strap them on though. We still gotta get our boots on. It's more just about changing your socks for the ride. Do you know what I mean? Your proverbial socks that'll keep you a little warmer than the ones we've had on previously. When Mercury goes into Pisces, things get unclear. When the nodes of fate and eclipse season want to go into Pisces, more so. When the sun goes into Pisces, more so. So I want you to imagine a world in which we are a fable. We are a fiction of our own versions of our own self. And in doing that, we are giving ourselves the pen, the ink, the paper to rewrite some standards and some stories through not our physical body, through not what is going on with us literally, but what is going on for us metaphorically, what is going on for us philosophically, what is going on for us spiritually. That's what this time is for. So, why push and push the rock up the hill to a hill you don't even know if you want to be going up? This is kind of one of those gut check moments where becoming less matter, becoming less solid, less rigid in what you need, in what your belief systems are, and where you're going with your future, the better this cycle. Because what we want is for the world to move us, not the other way around. That is how I'm really projecting and seeing intuitively this energy, this Mars that has left us so frustrated and inciting this helplessness inside of us. Here comes Pisces saying it's because you've been holding on too tight. It's because you've been needing too much of a secure answer. And with the political climate and with the social constructs that we all live against and with our 9-to-5s and with our raising our kids and our family standards and our friends standards, it can all be so deafening, the noise and the weight of it all. And Pisces says, shh, if only you'd spend more time listening. Everybody's so busy on social media, barking. Everybody's so fearful in the world, moving, thinking that there's something they can do physically to manifest something that feels safer. And in these times where nothing is promised, nothing ever really is, I think what we're experiencing is a breakdown of a construct that we've all created and ascribed to collectively that really only ever was a theory construct. So what if you let it go for a little bit? What if you made yourself a cup of tea and you really thought about where your soul is wanting to go right now? Not where the collective is wanting to go, not what's going to happen tomorrow, but rather what is the song you're hearing inside of yourself right now? What is speaking to you? What is asking something of you that's so deep down inside of you that if you're too loud, if you're too frustrated, if you're too helpless, if you're too insecure, if you're too emotional, you won't be able to hear it. Because our heart song and our soul's path doesn't always yell. And it certainly doesn't always pave its way for us. But sometimes it can, if we're just a little still. You know, for a moment, if we can all be still, if we can all listen to our own heartbeats, if we can all just get back into rhythm with ourselves, without always wondering what that's going to look like tomorrow, what that's going to look like 5 years from now, what that's going to look like, 5 minutes from now. If all you had to do was focus on your heartbeat, then what else would start to beat? What else would fall into rhythm? Your breath, your posture, your thoughts. So often we let our thoughts take the wheel. So often we allow our preconceived tapes, our records that we listen to of our past and our present over and over playing ad nauseum, that new thoughts are kind of hard to come by because we're so busy trying to stay with what's made us comfortable, safe for so long, that we forget that we are in fact an unfinished symphony, an unfinished America, an unfinished earth, an unfinished world. And if we're trying to fit round pegs into square holes, then, we're not really going to be getting anywhere. And if we are basing our next soul's iteration on the iteration before, that's like asking a fish to fly and then getting mad at the fish for not being able to fly. So I'm asking you from a very humbled myself, frustrated myself, powerless myself perspective, what is being asked of me right now in all of this? What could I ask of myself in all of this? Because we are all our own champions. We are all our own leads in our own story. And sometimes we fall victim to the events that are happening to us, to the changes that are all around us, to the AI generation, to the new. It can all feel very alarming. And I feel this flood of Pisces energy coming in to try to give us a very overwhelming nod to the psychic. Pisces rules psychic energy. Pisces rules that gut instinct. Pisces rules vibes. And you guys know how I love my vibes. So to get to the vibes cookie, we have to resonate with our own vibe. And so that's your homework. Here we go. What's your vibe right now? What do you want your vibe to be versus what is your vibe right now? And how do we shrink the two so that we can come into righteous harmony with ourselves? Because who we want to be versus who we have to be versus who we get to be on a daily basis are really different. How I have to show up as a teacher at my school is different than how I have to show up as a mom at home, how I have to show up as a teacher of astrology for adults, how I have to show up as my own best friend, as a partner to my partner, as, a daughter to my father. There are so many roles that I have to fulfill that sometimes I get out of whack with what I'm really doing. And imagine if all of those roles really could come together and really could have some symbiosis. Maybe my raw, righteous, authentic self belongs in all of those roles. So instead of just calling them roles, we are becoming. We aren't playing. We aren't playing those roles. We're becoming the truest version of ourselves that then attracts the situations and circumstances that are for our best and highest good. Because we are resonating with our own true desires, because we are resonating with how we're parenting, how we're teaching, how we're loving, and how we're showing up in and for the world. Resonance. That's the word I'd use for this week, to find some resonating chorus lines that run throughout your entire life. That as a teacher, as a lover, as a worker, as a friend, as a parent, that you can find the thread of you in all of those to tie it together, to have that beautiful garland of self that doesn't have to wear masks so much, that doesn't have to pretend so much. But the medicine is, if you're not going to be doing any pretending, well, you'd better have some damn fine boundaries. And Pisces struggles in the boundary realm because Pisces wanders between realms. So while we're authentically becoming our truest selves, we might lose ourselves a bit in that becoming, and we might need to work a little bit on our boundaries. So these are the invitations for this week. Tuesday is when the sun moves into Pisces. Mercury's already in Pisces. But what I love is that this Mercury, that's a little less clear, that's a little less boundaried, that's a little less focused. Pisces, after all, doesn't want to have to stay at the party too long, is going to be making a square to Jupiter. And so when Mercury and Jupiter are going to dance in the sky, it's almost like no holds bar. Like you have the opportunity to manifest something really great in your life this week. Even if it's something small, like on Thursday, I want to have a nap. Cool, do it. Like Jupiter and Mercury want you to do that. Or you just have an aha moment about how your thoughts are really ruling and controlling your day-to-day life. Because truly, if we can master our thoughts, we can master our souls, because the thought machine is just this big, epic filter of everything that's going on around us. It's why half of our mind, when we go to sleep, processes everything. You remember when you have dreams that are like of the checkout lady from the day before, and you wake up and you're like, why? Like, why was that bitch in there? Well, it's because we are a dumpster of information. And where do we store it all? In our Mercuries, in our thoughts, in our processing mechanism. I really view that as like our computer. Our computer chip is like how we're running our systems. And if we're not checking in on how we're thinking every day, well, then our mind is going to run away with the whole gamut. And before we know it, that very authentic, spiritual, deep knowing of Pisces gets totally blocked and obliterated by our preconceived thought mechanisms. So the other piece of our homework this week is to really pay attention to what you're thinking about. If you could stop yourself every few hours in your day and ask yourself, where's my thought processes gone today? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? Has it been all over the place? Has it been focused? Has it been unfocused? And then I want you to empower yourselves to take your brain back. You know, if something really hectic is going on in the world, you have the ability and the thought process stability to think different, to think in a way that is supportive rather than degenerative, to think of something that is going to build you up rather than tear you down. If you make a mistake in your day, well, you can like focus on that the whole day. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Oh my God. I know that this weekend I had kind of a bit of a crisis of my own making, because I finished teaching and I've done a couple readings, and at the end of all of them I got righteously insecure of like, what am I doing? Am I even like good at this? Is this even like something I should be doing? And I got in my own head really bad, and almost to the point where it ruined all of the work I had just done. And I looked at the other side of that, and one of my students was so nice to message me and tell me they thought I did an excellent job. And I had to sit with that and say, what part of my brain told me I was bad versus what was the truth? Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Maybe I could have been more organized. Maybe I could have been more prepared. Maybe I could have done this, that, or the other. But did that like ruin the entirety of it? No, sir. No, sir. Because whenever we show up authentically, you can't go all the way wrong. And so I had to let myself off the hook a little bit and reorient my thinking and say, you know, my partner said it really well. He said, maybe you're just preparing for an upgrade, and that how you've always done it maybe isn't what you like anymore, because you're about to go and find a whole new avenue, or you're about to have a breakthrough. I love that. I love that. And I am choosing to accept that in my mind, that like I'm in a growth cycle, and that then the old paradigms aren't going to feel as good as they used to. And so this is what I'm talking about when I talk about your thought processes. that we're all due for an upgrade, and that this lovely Thursday Mercury squaring Jupiter is an opportunity to manifest and think a little differently, a little bit more optimistically, and a little bit more with a little bit more juice underneath it. Because with Mars in Cancer retrograde lately, it sure has been hard to manifest, hasn't it? It sure has been hard to see things going exactly your way. And I like that for us when things don't go our way, because then we have to create new neural pathways too. So both ways, we can do it for the positive or the negative. Both are going to happen. But if we more often are choosing positivity, then more positive options and pathways will start paving for us. So then Sunday, Mercury's also going to trine, which is a beautiful positive aspect to Mars as it's going direct. So I can't stress enough to really focus this week on what you're thinking about. What can't you stop thinking about? What's on your mind? Journal about it every day. What's on your mind? Let the page be the dumpster fire. Don't carry it with you all day. God, no. Let something else carry it. Talk it out with a friend. Write it out at night. Let go of these limiting thought beliefs that are keeping us regimented into a structure, into a lifestyle, into a government, into a community that is not working anymore. And when we change our thoughts, when we do that work, really magical things happen. I pulled 2 cards on accident, but I'm going to go with it. I pulled exchanging gifts and higher power. So when we share our thoughts, when we're sharing and being generative is when really good things can come through. And then higher power is a no-brainer. Pisces rules that. Pisces rules that other side. Pisces rules the higher divineness in all of us. So I hope you find that this week. I hope you find some good nuggets in how you've been thinking and how you can readjust and find more fluidity rather than feeling stuck like it needs to all stay the same all the time. Because that's when we really go through the growing pains, is when things stay stuck. And rather than letting it move and shift in its own time, we're like pushing and pulling against something that we don't even necessarily understand. So good luck to this week. Thank you so much for listening. Like, follow, subscribe, share, comment. I love the dialogue. I love being here in righteous presence with all of you. I so very much appreciate it. And I'll see you next week. And Mars will be direct. Woohoo!